So in this video, I wanted to talk about welders and welding accessories. To start, in a recent video, I had to go and buy a titanium Flux-core welder from Harbor Freight. It was kind of an emergency purchase because I was in the middle of a project and I had a bunch of issues with my art captain, and I'm just gonna say right away, none of this is art captain's fault. This is mine. So first off, when I was doing some welding, I wasn't paying attention and I was dragging this hose across the piece I was welding on, and it melted it really bad. So now not only does it like look ugly and everything, but there's electrical wires in there, and then there's a wire that your actual welding wire goes through, which the welding wire part is fine, but I think I might have melted one of the electrical wires somewhere. I kept going and then started having issues with the tip of the gun. At first I thought that I just needed a new tip on there. So I ended up putting three new tips on, and that did not solve it. It still was having problems and I just couldn't really figure out what was going on. And then I think somehow the threading in the end of the, this is what's left of the, I want to call it a diffuser, but this thing doesn't really diffuse any cover gas, so I don't know what you would really call this piece, but it used to be longer, but you see half of it's missing. I think the threads got gacked up, and then I was cross-threading these tips in sideways, and then I think the wire was having feed issues because of that. Maybe that's just kind of an idea, I guess. But anyway, so once I saw that I was screwed up the threads, then I took this thing off and was trying to look at it, and I got one of these tips stuck in it, and then I used a pipe wrench to try to take it out, and then it snapped in half, this one right here. So the threads were left in the end of this diffuser. So I tried to drill it out, and then it wouldn't come out all the way, and then I got my grinder out, and then the rest is history. I ground off half of this thing in no time, and there's no threads left, and no store near me has any of these. So then that meant I'd have to buy something online, and I didn't want to wait because I was trying to get my ramp project done. If you haven't seen that already, check it out. I wanted to get it done because I had spent so much time on it. So I didn't want to wait for parts. So I went to Harbor Freight and got a new titanium Flux-core welder, which it's different from the art captain, but in a way they're kind of like similar because they're both made in the same country, got the same components in them. They're just a little bit different. So finally, I do have some parts coming for this. I love this art captain. I absolutely love it. It's a great welder. I've been looking to get a new hose for this, and I think I have found one. But I think there's a 8 or a 10 foot that you can get for this, and I want to get that because this one I think is it's got to be only about 6 right now. There's no way that's 8. Need to get a new gun for it, but in the meantime, I did order some consumables, including the new diffuser. I guess as far as the art captain goes right now, I gotta wait for my parts to come in, which by the time this video gets uploaded to YouTube, I'll probably have the parts by then. So we'll get back to that in a little bit. So I picked up a couple new welding accessories from a store called Tyson's. I got this Hobart 2-axis clamp, which basically, I've been wanting one of these for a while. Basically, you just put 2 pieces together and you can clamp it at a 90, so then you can weld it at 90 or cut it or do whatever you need to do. But it holds your material at 90, so that's cool. I've wanted one of these for a while, so I thought I might as well finally get one. I didn't know I needed this until I saw it. This is a crimping tool from KT Industries. Basically, the other day, I put a new ground cable on my art captain MIG welder, and I could have used something like this. So I figured I might as well have this, so if I ever have to put a new ground clamp on, I can use that. Or if I'm, making some cables for a going to a car battery or something, I can use that as well. And then I just got another 90 and 45 degree magnetic holder here, except this one is bigger than the other ones that I have. Don't know if you can see those that well, but I have tiny, a little bit bigger, and then that's currently the biggest one that I have. So now I have a really big one, and that's going to be really nice for heavier stuff. I've just been swamped with welding projects lately, so buying this type of stuff just helps. Makes it a little bit easier or speeds the process up. This thing's already attracting every little tiny piece of metal from grinding in here. That's one thing I hate about magnets. I used my vise the other day to put my connector on my ground wire for my welder. I think this is cooler. You just stick it in there and have the connector on and strip the clay bowl, place and lug, insert in crimping tool, strike with hammer, ensure proper fit. So yeah, you hit that with a hammer. That's cool. That's something I could actually put right on top of my vise and just, so that's cool. Heavy little thing. This thing's all loosey-goose. I guess just for the sake of demonstration. Check that out. It's not perfectly square, but you get what I'm getting at. Weld stuff up, perfect 90, which, you know, pretty close. Anyway. Awesome. Every new tool is a good investment. I don't care what it does, what it's for. Tools are investments, and they're good ones to make. So now I have 3 new things to help me with fabricating and using my welder or doing electrical stuff. I do have plenty of these slip-on tips, and I do have quite a few of these 030 contact tips as well. Just got a new one from Vulcan from Harbor Freight because anything under 10 bucks was like 30% off. So this was 7 bucks for 10 of these. So I got plenty of consumables for the Art Captain, and I have more coming in. So this will be really nice getting back to using this, because it's a very, very good welder. Okay, let's move on. I have a video that I did a little while ago that I think should be on YouTube by now, but I did a few things to my Art Captain, and one of those was getting an aftermarket clamp put on here. And this thing is awesome. It's a total game changer. Where did I put that thing? So the other day when I bought the new titanium, I grabbed one of these while I was there because I saw in the titanium box that it had the really crappy style ground clamp already on it, which I was kind of surprised that when I got this thing out of the box, this here is not the clamp that is pictured in all of titanium's pictures, like on the box, in the manual. This is not the same clamp. If you look right here, I don't know how well my camera is going to focus on this. This clamp right here sucks. It's a total piece of crap. It's got that super flat end on it. It's extremely thin metal, and the spring is practically worthless. See that flat part there? That is not what this clamp has on it. This is different. And this thing has way more spring force than that clamp pictured on that manual. So that's a positive for titanium to do that. I'm very happy with this ground. Is it as good as the aftermarket one? Probably not, but it's better. It's good that they're improving these things. And I understand them not wanting to reprint all their boxes and all their manuals and stuff just to show they're new. But it's nice that they update that stuff. So I guess at some point, you know, if I ever, these are only $5.99 or $6.99 for these ground clamps. And these things are just awesome. I had some issues when I did this. I don't have any wire strippers really big enough to do wire this size. So while I was at Harbor Freight, I got this set of Pittsburgh wire strippers, which I guess its max is kind of like 10 gauge, but I'm not an electric guy. I don't really know what 10 gauge size is. Just kind of a cheap pair. These didn't cost much, so if these suck or they're a piece of crap, I'm not out much money. I wonder if I have any piece of wire to just test this on. I guess I don't really have any good wire to sacrifice. Oh. At least it's adjustable. Then there are a pair of cutters right down there. That's cool. That works good. How do I adjust this thing? Well, that's max. Okay, that works. That's nice. See that? That's nice. That works good. I guess whenever I do, if I put a new ground clamp on something, I'll try these out on this huge wire. There's more rubber here than there is copper. Like, there's barely any copper in there. Probably not any more than this. Well, maybe a little bit more, but there's a ton of rubber on this cable. I love these clamps. These are great. Made such a huge difference with my Arc Captain being ground out better. Also, when I did this ground clamp, I got some of the copper exposed, and then I put this little flat piece on there, and to tighten it down I just stuck it in my vise 2 different directions, and I turned the vise as hard as I could to try to smash this, and it's fine. It ain't gonna go anywhere. If I really wanted to, I could probably even melt some kind of rubber around that. I don't need to do that though, it's fine. But it got me thinking. So I found this little doohickey. I had it in my toolbox, but I got this little tool from KT Industries, and I haven't even used it yet. But I think you can put stuff, like you can put wire in a little fitting like this, stick that in there, and then you're supposed to whack this thing with a hammer. At least I have this now, and it's obviously adjustable. You can do really big ones, or you can have a tiny little one and give it a good whack. But I can't remember what this cost, but I got it at Tyson's Farm and Fleet. It was cheap too. I know it was under 20, so maybe something worth investing in. If I'm trying to get more electrical tools, because that's something I don't mess with much, and I should probably learn more about it and get some better tools so it makes it a little bit easier. There's nothing worse than when, you know, you're helping somebody wire something up and they got their dull pocket knife out and they're trying to shave, you know, their wire, and they're making a mess, and they just keep cutting the copper off, and then they're blowing through all the wire. Just buy tools. They're cheap. Just do that. So much easier. So I've been running this little propane radiant heater and this 80,000 BTU diesel heater, and I've been having an issue where I don't like fires. I know some people just go do whatever and they never even think about it, but I don't like sparks flying at stuff that has diesel in it or kerosene, whatever. So lately I've been using a piece of this tin. I kind of move this sideways, and then I take this tin and I do that. Now obviously you know, a spark can fly over this and still land behind it, but at least it's something. it's something to kind of help shield it from what you're doing. But I thought instead of doing this, because eventually this tin's gonna be gone, I have a project coming up here very soon, and I will be using that, so I won't have that in here anymore. So I got this when I was at Harbor Freight. It's a 6 foot by 8 foot welding blanket made out of fiberglass, which I guess makes sense because a lot of insulation is made out of fiberglass, so it's flame retardant. So I've never used anything like this before, but I've actually been thinking about something like this for a long time. Something you can just throw over your flammable crap, because I've done some sketchy stuff and I don't ever want to be in a fire. I hate fire. Okay, that's a lie. I like burning things, but just not me. I'm not going to unfold this or anything, but looks good. Not sure how, give me a minute. Not bad. Stinks. That's not bad. So in this is a flame. I guess a piece of a spark or slag or whatever might be hotter, but it's not on fire. So it's not like throwing a shipping blanket made out of wool or nylon or polyester or whatever that instantly just goes bananas when it has slag hit it. And I can't remember what this thing cost. I think it was $34.99, and I used 15% off coupon off anything in the store. So whatever the math is there, I got it for like 30 bucks basically. So looking forward to using that. Oh, and this is from Chicago Electric. I don't mind Chicago Electric's like their stuff, like their blankets, their parts, their whatever. I've never tried any of their welders, but I kind of don't want to. Even though there is a part of me that does want to try that $89 welder, Flux-core welder that they make that Harbor Freight sells just for fun, but that's a lot of money to just do something for fun. So I also got a MIG torch magnetic holder. I already have one from Hobart that was like 15 bucks, but since I have, I guess, 2 Flux-core welders now, maybe have 2 of these as well. And this was $9.99, but I had a 30% off coupon to use, so this was 7 bucks. I know I'm just like a walking and talking coupon salesman, but if I can save a few dollars here and there, I will, and that's how I afford to buy all the crap that I do, because I look for deals. And this looks pretty nice. It's a little different from my Hobart. $5 difference between the two, but kind of strange. In fact, this Hobart just doesn't seem to make much sense. Like, it's not gonna be easy to do this, but there's no nozzle on it. Like, it doesn't, you can't do it that way, so then you gotta do it this way. And obviously it'll tip over now, but when it's magnetized on your bench, I mean, it like holds your nozzle okay or whatever, but like this one is bent at a different angle. You know, so maybe it holds your gun different. Like that has a little groove in it, like that's how you're supposed to do that, you know? But anyway, this is from Chicago Electric. 7 bucks for coupon. And these are incredibly important because before I ever had one of these or started using one, if you set your MIG gun down, like you throw it down and it does this, and you walk away and you're measuring something or cutting something, it'll just start shooting wire out of it because the trigger's depressed. And then if that wire hits something that's ground out, the entire wire is gonna just arc and turn glowing orange, and it's gonna be messy, and you just don't want to do that. So that's why it's so important to properly store your MIG gun, so then it's not making contact with anything and the trigger's not depressed. So. And then I got this Chicago Electric Auto-darkening helmet. The reason why I just got an auto-darkening helmet from Performax. at Menards. It's already incredibly dirty and scratched up, but it works great. The only thing I don't like about it is the headgear kind of like has issues sometimes where, you know, if you flip it up to like look at what you're doing and then try to flip it down, it's too tight so it won't go down, or it's too loose and then you can't get it to stay up. Anyway, that's my problem because I need to adjust it better. But this works really well and it was only 39 bucks. But the reason I got another one is because I just wanted to get a really cheap fixed shade helmet so I could stick my GoPro behind it and record my welding, and then using the fixed shade, you know, as a way for my camera to see what's going on. Because in all my welding videos, when I weld, all you can see is, you know, the arc and the sparks and how bright it is. You can't really see what I'm doing. You can't see the puddle or anything, and I want to film that. The only helmet they had that had a fixed shade on it was 30 bucks, and this auto-darkening from Chicago Electric was 39. So I spent an extra 9 bucks, and now I have 2 auto-darkening helmets. So if for some reason I have a problem with my Performax, I can just use this. And I did have one from Lincoln Electric, but I borrowed that from somebody and I gave it back. So that's why I'm trying to get more welding stuff for me. I don't like using other people's stuff. These always seem to come with some extra stuff, which is nice. That Performax that I got was ready to go right out of the box. I really didn't even touch anything. Pretty amazing what they can manufacture and sell so cheap, honestly. Oh great, more. Okay. Delay and sensitivity. Sensitivity mid-range. Weld and grind. Quick story on the weld grind thing. Some of these helmets have 2 modes, one where you can weld and one when you can use this as just a protective mask for grinding. And I did a kind of a welding school thing a long time ago. It wasn't like a 2-year program or anything, it was a really short one. But somebody that was in my class like welded for an hour with their mask on grind. And they're like, man, that's so bright, I can't even see straight. And it was like, we looked at the mask and it was on grind and it was like, oh my gosh, you basically looked at the arc for an hour. It was bad. I'm not even gonna say like what they did because of that, but it wasn't good. Delay, short, long. Short delay, long delay, short usually. And then there's some stuff on the side here, which I don't know, it's probably darkness. 13 or 9. 9 being the minimum. Anyway. At least it's easy to adjust, so just tighten these down. But anyway, I gotta come up with some kind of idea where I can put my GoPro lens like right here and somehow get this helmet really close, like like this close and weld on something, maybe even closer, and weld on something so you can see the puddle. It's really cool. I like watching it. I find it satisfying when I'm welding that you can see your puddle so well. And I like these. These seem to, auto darkening helmets seem to just, since you can adjust them like the shade and the delay and everything, I have them adjusted enough that obviously it shields you from hurting your eyes from the flash. But they're like also bright enough that when I'm welding, I can actually see like the metal. Like if I have two pieces of metal coming together and I'm welding them, I can actually like see where the metal's at. You know, like it's just weird. Like you can see everything, but then at the same time you're like protected. So pretty cool. Before I forget, I need to take this off and look and see what kind of plug that has on it, so I can find a replacement. I want something longer. It's kind of a pain. In case you're curious what these look like inside, I know it's kind of dark and hard to see, but that's basically what it looks like. Probably some sort of capacitor or something in there that would be dangerous if it discharged on you, but anyway, I can't find what I'm looking for, so I'm going to put this cover back on, but I'm assuming that one of the wires that goes to the MIG gun comes down, and I think that's it right there, the black one. Well, I can't find anything on this that resembles anything I've seen on Amazon or eBay when it comes to buying aftermarket MIG guns for these Flux-core welders. So I'm not really sure what to buy for this thing. Might have to just wait till my new diffusers get in so I can put the nozzle back together and just use it as is. I don't have any wire feed problems. It just kind of sucks that the hose is short and that it's all melted. But anyway, so I really like this titanium. It works really well. The controls on this are just a little bit different from my Arc Captain, and I'm still working on getting the right combo down. It still doesn't feel perfect yet. Kind of trial and error. I don't know. I found something that works for me and I just kept it on that so I could finish welding up my ramps. But I need to play with it and try some different voltage and some different wire speeds. That's one thing that kind of sucks because my Arc Captain has a digital display and I always set it at 70, and then I have it in the mid-range for wire speed. So really, if I did that with this, it would look exactly like that, but when I do this configuration, it's not good at all. I don't like it. So it's not right. But anyway, I gotta mess with it. There is a temperature light on there, which I have not seen come on yet, and then there is a little green light here that I think just means that it's good to go, like it's okay. It has voltage and everything. In my video on buying this thing, I had mentioned how this nozzle was kind of funny. The nozzle made me laugh because on my Arc Captain, it used a nozzle like this that has the big opening, and if you use a MIG welder that uses gas, cover gas, the big nozzle like that is so then the cover gas can surround your tip and your wire and cover it, so then it doesn't have, you know, whatever issues welders have if they don't have cover gas or flux, whatever that issue is. That gas surrounds your, you know, covers your weld. And so that's the purpose of these tips being wide like that. So on a flux core, you don't use gas. That flux coating or whatever is on the wire, so even though it kind of burns dirty, it covers your weld, so then you don't have to have cover gas. So on this one, it's got a super pointy little, little nozzle on here, which just to me looks funny, because I've always welded with a nozzle this shape, and you wouldn't think that's a big deal. But I got so used to welding with this nozzle up a certain distance away from the metal and knowing exactly where I was at and doing a good job. But now, like, I don't have that. I have this pointy little thing, and the contact tip sticks about a 1/2 centimeter out. And then from there, you have, when you're welding, maybe a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch of wire coming out before contacting your metal. So there's like all this space right here. And I always end up kind of like hitting this tip on everything I'm welding, because I get like thrown off by how far away from the piece I am. But anyway, so these make me laugh. I wonder if this is the same. I don't know what this is called on a Flux-core welder, because I thought they were called diffusers, but there's no diffusion of gas here, so I don't know. This thing's pretty similar to the one that was on my Art Captain, except for this screws on. That's kind of weird. On my Art Captain, this slips on, so it doesn't screw on. It just, you push it on there and pull it off, and it never falls off though. It's usually fine. I can't tell if Flux-core is extremely dirty or if I'm just like a bad welder. I get crap all over these contact tips. Anyway, this is a good little welder, and I got it for $127.50, so for that price, it's a pretty decent little welder. There is a part of me that wants to spend $90 on a Chicago Electric Flux-core welder just to see what it's like, but I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. And I've used a surprising amount of wire so far. Probably won't take too long to run this out. My ramp build took way more resources than I thought it would. And like I said, I'm gonna switch out these clamps at some point, but this one isn't terrible at all. That's way better than the clamp that came on the Art Captain. And I kind of wish I didn't throw my old clamp away so I could show it, because it was so bad. It was so thin and the spring was so crappy that you could like put this on a piece of metal, and it, like, you could barely even tug on it and it would just fall off. It didn't hold anything, so I'm gonna put this on there at some point. But for now, I'm just gonna use it the way it is. I absolutely love this cart that I got. I had a video doing some updates to my Art Captain before it started falling apart on me. I got this cart from Performax at Menards. I was gonna get a Harbor Freight one because they're cheap, but they didn't have any in stock, so I just went to Menards, and I wanted one really bad, so I got it Performax. And it's decent. Holds 100 pounds or whatever, and has a couple little shelves for stuff, and then obviously room on the back for a tank if you run gas. And it came with the little things to secure that, so that's cool. I keep all my magnets on there, and then extra pair of welding gloves. I got this thing at Tyson's. I have some more welding stuff that I need to put on here, but then I have my wire brush with the little scrapey deal on it. I don't use this very much. I usually grind my welds. That flux leaves residue on everything, and I'm too lazy to use this brush. I just grind it. I also got this huge 90-degree magnet, which prior to this was the biggest I had, and this one's even bigger. So you can, use this to magnetize two pieces together really well. Get them tacked up, and then remove this, and then finish up your weld. This stuff is so cheap, it's just, you gotta have it. It comes in handy. And when I use this thing more, this titanium, when I get some more use out of it and maybe learn a little bit more about it, I'll probably have a review on it. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm hoping that this thing doesn't have a similar hose where there's like no coupler to like hook up a new, because on my ARC Captain I can't find what I'm seeing in my head where you hook up, you know, a new MIG gun and hose. So I hope this isn't the kind where if you break your MIG gun or your hose gets damaged that you're just like out of luck because, you know, no replacement or whatever. I have no idea. Should probably send an email to ARC Captain and ask him about that. Or maybe I'm just not finding what I'm looking for because I'm not looking right. I have no idea. So I had ordered a little while back a little accessory kit that has 2 nozzles and 2 diffusers and some contact tips. And this is from ARC Captain, obviously. Awesome. Got more of these. Can always use more extras of those. 2 diffusers and 20 of these contact tips, which I ordered 030, and that's what they gave me, so good deal. 030 for size. So now I have a whole bunch of these. This is great. I'm really glad I stocked up. But anyway, got to get this diffuser on. The threads on here are okay. This must be a reverse thread, I think. Yep. Okay, so I went and grabbed a 12mm wrench, and I'm going to use that on these 2 flat parts to get this diffuser nice and tight. And I'm using a little wrench because using a crescent wrench kind of, it's hard on it, so I don't want to strip anything out or cause any damage. I'm a little hard on this sometimes. I have a holder to put this gun in now, and I've been using it, but I used to kind of just throw it down, and when you do that, it rattles everything around, and over time it'll start to work its way loose. So, but anyway, now that I have new threads, I can put a contact tip in there. I wonder if I have a wrench that small, just out of curiosity. Nah, not even close. This would be a really, really, really tiny wrench. Got to keep in mind that when you're putting these contact tips on, the contact tips are normal righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but this diffuser is opposite. So if you actually try to tighten your contact tip, it can actually loosen your diffuser, so you got to watch out for that. I also, just now, I didn't put the wire through. I need to do that. There we go. That's nice. Look at how fresh and new that is. I love that.